When I was 18, my mother sat me down and told me something I never imagined. I wasn't her son. I was switched at birth. I remember the weight of that afternoon more clearly than anything else from my teenage years. The air outside was hot summer heat pressing against the windows, yet our small apartment felt cold, like the temperature dropped just for us. I was 18, old enough to think I knew everything, but young enough to understand nothing. Our apartment was cramped and tired looking, wallpaper peeling in long curls, a fridge that rattled like it was clearing its throat, carpet worn down to threads. My father had left before sunrise, same as always, carrying his dented metal lunchbox and wearing that faded brown coat that somehow survived more winters than I could remember. He worked day-to-day jobs, construction cleanup, hauling crates, patchwork carpentry, whatever the hiring today sign needed. Every evening he came home with dust in his hair, cracks in his hands, and a soft smile that never matched how exhausted he looked. And every evening I felt something sour grow inside me, a resentment I mistook for righteousness. That day I let that resentment speak. Mom was at the kitchen table rubbing her temples. The landlord had called earlier, asking about late rent again, and I could still hear his irritated voice echoing around the room. "Why are we always broke?" I exploded. "Why can't Dad get a proper job? Why do I have to be the kid with the embarrassing family?" Mom froze. She didn't yell, didn't scold me, didn't say anything for a long time. Then she whispered, "David, sit down." There was something so fragile in her voice that I actually listened. She folded her hands together like someone preparing to pray. Her eyes were wet even before she spoke. "There's something I should have told you," she said. "Something about the day you were born." I sighed loudly. "Mom, I don't care about—" "I know you don't," she said softly. "But you need to hear this." She looked up, met my eyes, and spoke the words that cracked my entire world open. "David, you weren't born as our son. You were switched at the hospital." For a moment, everything went silent. The fridge hum vanished. The street noise faded. Even my heartbeat paused. I laughed more out of disbelief than humor. "That's ridiculous." But she didn't blink. "When your father and I did IVF," she said quietly, "you were supposed to be our miracle. We saved for years. We gave up nearly everything. And when we held you for the first time, we believed life was finally giving us something good." She wiped tears from her cheeks. 3 months later, the hospital called. They said two babies, both born through IVF on the same day, had been mixed up. "You weren't ours, not biologically. Our real son was with someone else." My chest tightened. "So where are they? My real parents?" She hesitated. That hesitation told me more than words. "We met them once," she said. "The hospital arranged it." She stared down at her hands. "Your biological father was involved in violent things, gangs, debt collecting, fighting. He didn't come because he cared about you. He wanted money." I felt something cold slide down my spine. "What did Dad do?" Mom gave a small, sad laugh. "He stood in front of us, between us and them, and said, 'He's our son. You're not taking him.' Your father looked terrified, David. But he didn't back down." She took a shaking breath. "They threatened us, said we'd regret it, said they'd take you. But your father just held you tighter. A lump formed in my throat. I'd called Dad useless, lazy, weak, but he had stood up to dangerous men for me. Still, instead of gratitude, the anger in me warped into something uglier. So what? I've been living with strangers? Mom's face crumpled. We're not strangers, she whispered. We raised you. We took care of you. Your father worked himself half to death for you. But all I heard was the blood pounding in my ears. I want to meet them, I said. The people who are actually related to me. Mom reached for my arm. David, please? But stubbornness made me cruel. I jerked away, grabbed my jacket, and walked out without looking back. The other side of my life. Riverdale Avenue was the kind of street where sunlight looked like it was afraid to shine. Graffiti covered brick walls, broken bottles glittered in gutters. The building number matched what I'd overheard long ago. I climbed the cracked steps and knocked. The door swung open. A man glared down at me. Thick arms, crooked nose, alcohol clouding his breath. What? He barked. I'm David, I said. From the hospital. 18 years ago. His eyes narrowed. Then he laughed. Well, I'll be damned. Come in then. Every instinct told me to run, but my pride dragged me inside. The apartment smelled like old smoke and spilled beer. My biological mother sat on a sunken couch, shoulders slumped. She looked at me with empty eyes. You look healthy, she murmured. Good for you. The man shoved a chair toward me. So your folks rich? They live good? I shook my head. No. Small apartment. Dad works day labor. The room fell quiet. The man shook his head, chuckling bitterly. Figures. They looked too desperate to be rich. I stared at him. You're my real father? He snorted. Blood don't make you a father, kid. He pointed his bottle at me. If that man who raised you got up every day for 18 years to keep food in your mouth, he's more of a father than I ever was. My biological mother nodded weakly. I wondered about you sometimes, she whispered. But I always told myself one thing. You were better off without us. Something inside me collapsed. When I got up to leave, the man called after me. Tell your old man he did good. The walk home. Streetlights flickered as I walked back. The town looked the same. But I didn't. My father had lived in this tired town, worked in its cold mornings and blistering afternoons, just to keep our lights on. When I reached our street, I saw him, Dad, walking home, dust on his clothes, lunchbox in one hand, pay envelope in the other. He didn't see me until I called out, Dad. He turned confused. David, your mother said you left. I did, I said softly. I went to see them. A shadow crossed his face. And they're nothing like you, I whispered. Not even close. He looked down. You angry at us? I shook my head, tears burning. I was angry because I didn't understand. I blamed you for everything. I was ashamed of our life, ashamed of you. My voice cracked, but you were the only one fighting for me. Dad set down his lunchbox, then he opened his arms. I stepped into them and broke down. I'm so sorry, I whispered. Dad, I'm so sorry. He held me like he did when I was small. It's all right, he said. You're my son. Always. The final truth. Mom cried when we walked in together. I told them what my biological parents said. Every detail, every ugly truth. Dad sighed. I didn't want you to grow up afraid, he said. So I kept it quiet. But sometimes being a man means stepping forward even when you're shaking inside. Mom added, he protected you, David, every single day of your life. The next morning, I woke before Dad did. When he grabbed his coat, I grabbed mine. I'm coming with you, I said. He tried to argue, but eventually he smiled and nodded. We worked side by side. My hands blistered. My back ached. But Dad just said, you keep going. That's what we do. That winter, the lights never went out. Ending. Years later, with a family of my own, I still feel him. His quiet strength, his steady presence, guiding me through every storm. One snowy night, my daughter asked, Daddy, will the lights go out? I looked at her and smiled. Not tonight. I glanced out the window at the swirling snow and whispered, Mom told me the truth, but you're the one who raised me. Dad, the lights are still on, and as long as they are, a part of him stays alive in me.